listening to Give God 90, where we're not afraid of the tough biblical questions, because we will dig through the language, the culture, and the history to find the truth revealed in the words of our Creator.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for sharing some time with us today. Where we are, it's Thursday evening, so wherever and whenever you're listening to this, hope you're having as good a day as we did. A little warm where we are today. Actually, it's a lot warm where we are today.
It's very hot.
I am being supervised this evening.
Hi, everyone.
We've been doing a lot this week. Let's see. Got a little patch ready for some alfalfa to put in. That's for allergy alfalfa and maybe hay for the granddaughter's guinea pigs. I don't know. But we have that race. It's supposed to rain here the next couple of days, so once that ground settles, I'll be able to get it planted. Just all kinds of good summery stuff going on.
Sure is.
So there's all that. If you haven't been to GiveGod90.com lately, you might want to check that out. If you're new here, you definitely want to check that out. All kinds of good stuff there. There's at least one summer Bible study that will be underway shortly that is using Inheriting Lies for their study. That's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it is.
I bet I wind up with questions out of that one.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
But that's okay. I don't mind questions. And sometimes it surprises me as to who leaves comments and who asks questions. It's kind of humbling sometimes to know that there's some folks out there that I consider important people. Everybody's important, but they do things. They're the movers and the shakers, and they leave comments, and it's like, oh wow, they read my stuff.
It's kind of nice.
I didn't know they had time for that. But yeah, it is kind of nice. It is kind of nice. And I think part of the reason that we draw the type of people that we do is because we cover the things that we cover. It's like what we're going to talk about here tonight. We have to understand creation so that we can understand the world we live in. Many, many lessons in the Bible point straight back to Genesis, and that primarily creation. Yeshua, Jesus, directly refers to creation more than 10 times, and indirectly even more often than that when he was teaching. Even John 3:16, near the end of Yeshua chastising Nicodemus for not understanding creation. And if you want more in-depth information about that, read Inheriting Lies. There's my advertisement for the night. Now, back when Darwin wrote his famous book, right, that really began the concept, the theory of evolution. And scientists of the day were, at that time, primarily either Jewish or Christian. And a lot of them rejected what Darwin had to say in his theories. But as time progressed, more and more people were reading, more and more people were hearing about this thing called evolution. And it came at the kind of the end of what we consider the Enlightenment period, right? More and more people began to question the very existence of the Creator. It's just the way it was. We had this new thing called science. I should have hit the reverb when I did. It would have been science. Yeah. Oh, wow. Anyway. Science grew and it became more secular in its reasoning. It rejected creation eventually, and it rejected the Creator. And it actually created its own religion. And it was a religion of how the world began and how the world works from a viewpoint that doesn't acknowledge a creator. For these new enlightened, if I can use that word, scientists, they consider the Bible to be nothing more than a book of fairy tales. That was it. That's what they thought it was. And the work of the British archaeologists, especially the ones in Egypt, they didn't help anything either. They dismissed the obvious timeline and the way things would have fit together had they followed that. But instead, they wanted everything to fit into this evolutionary timeline. And when they did that, they skewed the biblical timeline to fit their own agenda. Something else I need to point out is when Darwin was alive, a microscope was only able to see, something so small. A single-celled organism was about the best they could do. And for a long time, because of that, people believed that, the smallest living organism you could have would be a single cell. They didn't realize, because they didn't have the technology that we have today. They didn't have the information we have today. And today we know that within a single cell, there are amino acids that look and act as a separate organism to themselves. Now, wouldn't it be kind of amazing if someday we could see so far down on the into these subcellular organisms that we discover they have even smaller and smaller organisms, right down to the point where all you can get to is the energy that drives them? That would be just amazing. When you can get down and see something so small that all that's left is energy. Where do you think that energy comes from? Just a question to contemplate. Of course, with the latest discoveries we have today, we know that certain things can't happen, right? We know that a virus cannot magically mutate into a bacteria. We know that a reptile can't magically mutate into a bird, and there's no possible way for an ape to mutate into a human being, no matter how much time you give them, no matter how much adaptation that they may be added, they remain their own species. Paleontologists, the folks who study dinosaurs and fossils, they've got a problem right now. They are confounded and confused by the discovery of chlorophyll and collagen in dinosaur fossils. Now, chlorophyll, of course, is what gives plants their green color. It helps photosynthesize sunlight into carbon dioxide. It uses the sunlight to photosynthesize carbon dioxide into oxygen. And the reason they have a problem with it is chlorophyll is found in the teeth of T-Rex fossils. And that means that the terrible T-Rex ate plants. He was not just a carnivore. Chances are he wasn't a carnivore at all. Collagen's the other thing that's driving them nuts. It's found in the joints of the bones, and it completely obliterates the millions of years timeline that these folks have, and they are outraged. The weird thing is, these secular scientists are hanging on to their traditional concepts, because if they don't, it means they have to consider the Bible's fact. And they don't like that at all. In fact, they hate it. They want what they learned in school to be correct. And what they learned in school was millions of years of evolution. Now, something that they have to come to think of as nothing more than a fairy tale. Can it be true? Ah, it can't be true. Wait, can it? Well, just go ahead and read that passage right there.
God said, "Look, I have given you all the plants that have grain for seeds, and I have given you all the trees whose fruits have seeds in them. They will be food for you. I have given all the green plants to all the animals to eat. They will be food for every wild animal, every bird of the air, and every small crawling animal." And it happened. God looked at everything he had made, and it was very good. Evening passed and morning came. This was the sixth day. Genesis 1:29 through 31.
Of course, that's from the International Children's Bible. And even the International Children's Bible answers the question of chlorophyll in the teeth of T-Rex. They were given every green plant to eat. It also answers the question about collagen. You know that to the best of their ability to test this, collagen deteriorates very quickly. If you extrapolate out all of their equations, collagen, under the best circumstances, is only going to last about 100,000 years. Yet they're finding it in fossils that are supposed to be 65 million years old. You see, the math doesn't add up when you do the math with evolution. It doesn't work. But a 6,000-year-old Earth and animals eating plants maintains biblical authority. Maybe these scientists need to revisit their foundations. Because originally, a few hundred years ago, well, more than that, several hundred years ago, most scientists were believers. And they, everything they saw, they looked at and said, oh, this works because this is the way it's designed to work. Not, oh, this works this way because, well, we think this. No. It works because it works the way it's designed to work. Evolution is not the only thing the Bible can answer for us. And interestingly enough, creation tells us a lot of things. And the aftermath of sin tells us a lot of things too. Animal rights groups, they like to use the Bible as a way to attempt to stop people from eating meat. Let's just face it, that they do. And they get it from Genesis, right? Because we were given green plants to eat. But sin entered the world shortly after creation. The earth was cursed, and you read about that in Genesis chapter 3. After that, things steadily got worse for mankind. There was a point where we were so near destruction, had it not been for a gentleman named Noah, mankind's experience on this earth would have been very, very short indeed. Just a matter of about 2,000 years, which isn't a very long time, even considering a 6,000-year-old earth. You know what? Noah was faithful. And he trusted the Creator, followed every instruction he was given, built the boat, got the animals all on board, got all their food, got all their everything. And after the flood, here's what we read. Go ahead and read that.
And God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. The fear and dread of you will fall on every living creature on the earth, every bird of the air, every creature that crawls on the ground, and all the fish of the sea. They are delivered into your hand. Everything that lives and moves will be food for you. Just as I gave you the green plants, I now give you all things. But you must not eat meat with its lifeblood still in it. And surely I will require the life of any man or beast by whose hands your lifeblood is shed. I will demand an accounting from anyone who takes the life of his fellow man. Genesis 9, 1 through 5.
Okay. So prior to this, man and animals actually lived in harmony, which, by the way, confirms that there were no animals sacrificed by man until after the flood. Just saying. If you actually have a Bible that reads differently, get a different translation, because that's probably a bad one, and there are some out there that are. When the Almighty lifted the restriction of a vegetarian diet, it's because the earth was changed. You know, a lot of people make a lot of strange excuses for this, but it's because the earth was changed. After I'll get to that in a second. What happens when you alter your diet? What can happen when you alter your, some people alter their diet to lose weight or to gain weight. Some people alter their diet to be more healthy. Some people do it out of necessity because of food availability. But think about this. Changing what we eat changes our metabolism. And it also changes the way that the proteins and enzymes work in our body. That's why when you change what you eat, you either gain weight or lose weight, right? But changing the things we eat can also affect our emotions and our spirit as well. Right? You get something good to eat, you're in a good mood. When you have to eat something you don't particularly care for, you're not in such a good mood. Don't believe me? Try changing your diet. Here's a challenge for you. Give up the unclean meat for 6 months and see if your health improves. Or you can go the other way, right? Eat nothing but candy for a week and see how bad you feel. I don't recommend that, by the way. In fact, I would say don't do that one. But try the healthy way. Try the healthy way. See what you do. See what comes of it. The strange thing is, it's not only mankind that is affected by a change in diet. It's not only mankind that was affected by a change in diet. I imagine there's people out there saying, well, if the lions had been used to eating nothing but grass and now all of a sudden they're eating lambs and goats, impalas, water buffalo, people. I shouldn't laugh when I say that, but it's true. Maybe it did change their attitude. Oh, we don't like people anymore, except they're tasty for supper. It does things to your metabolism. We were at a meeting the other night, and the speaker was talking about how the honeybee populations were declining so rapidly in the United States. I thought about that. Yeah, okay, I see why. This is not difficult to put together, right? I remembered when we first started hearing about colony collapse disorder. It was first mentioned about 25 years ago or so, and it was blamed on everything from poor hive management to loss of farmland to drought, you name it. What else happened about that time? Anybody remember? You probably don't, because most people don't think about this unless you're involved in agriculture. It was just before that, actually, when genetically modified plants were being developed. You know, the strange thing is that the first problem with colony collapse disorder was actually in the same areas where the genetically modified plants were introduced first. Does that give anybody a little hint of something? You see, while the FDA and the other agencies and the scientists were concerned that, how are these GMOs going to affect humans, they never considered the pollen in the plant. They never considered how the pollen may affect pollinators. A change of diet changes the body, the mind, and the spirit. Doesn't matter how big you are. It doesn't matter how small you are. When you change your diet, when something is introduced to your diet that will either improve your health or make you sick, it's going to change you. Doesn't matter what you are. Sin changed everything in the world that we live in. It changed the way we live, it changed the way we eat, and it ultimately changed the way we think. Now, it definitely changed our relationship with the Creator as well, right? I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer there. But only when we understand creation and then grasp an understanding of how sin changed our world are we able to understand how to live the best life we can while we're here. The flood of Noah changed the face of the earth, right? Actually, go ahead and read that passage, because a lot of people read over this. They don't stop to consider it. Go ahead.
And God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and gathered together the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good. Genesis 1:9 and 10.
So the waters were gathered together in one place, and the land was in one place, one large piece of dry land. Now, during the flood, that huge chunk of land split apart, and it destroyed everything on it, including the Garden of Eden, including the Tree of Life. There was nothing left. It was all destroyed. Today, we have what we call the 7 continents and different oceans. Today, we no longer have the luxury of every plant being for our benefit, because some can harm us. Right? We all hear about poison ivy and hemlock and all the other nasty things. Today, we talk about climate change and sea level rise. That's a result of the flood as well. Is it any wonder that practically every book of the Bible mentions creation in some way? In some way, it is mentioned. In, I think the only one that it doesn't is probably Esther. Don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly sure. I don't remember seeing it there. But it's just about every place else. Misunderstanding creation causes us to misunderstand our world, and it causes us to misunderstand the way that we are designed to live in it. It's that simple. It can cause us trouble with our relationship with our Creator. I've spoken to a lot of people who claim to believe the Bible, but they have a hard time with creation. I remember one conversation. Well, do you believe that God parted the Red Sea? Yeah. Do you believe that God was able to punish the Israelites for disobeying him by exiling them from their land? Yeah. Do you believe that God was able to bring somebody back from the dead? Of course. Now, why is it so hard to believe and accept God chose to create our world in 6 24-hour days and rest on the seventh? The answer was classic. I don't know. It just goes against what I was taught in school, I guess. That's one conversation I don't think I'll ever forget. It was with a pastor. If you're listening, I'm not going to say your name. It amazes me that we want to pick and choose which miracles we accept, right? But if you deny creation, you're denying yourself the understanding of how the world's supposed to work. And equally important, you're denying yourself the understanding of why the changes and how those changes affect us. You see, when we have a difficult time with the very foundation of our faith, which is creation, by the way, because it starts out in the beginning, God, the very foundation of our faith. When we have a difficult time with that foundation, we have a problem. It's not the Creator's problem. He knows what he did. It's our problem. So I'm going to encourage everyone, read Genesis chapters 1 through 9. Not all at one time. Just slow down. Just read the words. Look for certain things. See how the world was created, because it was created to be that perfect place. See and look for how sin changed it, because it did. It changed it dramatically. Look for those changes that happened as a result of sin, and see if you can see how that affects our lives today. When you're able to do that, you're going to be able to understand the reason that the world is in such turmoil today, and you're going to see these things a lot more differently, I think. I think you're going to see them a lot more plainly, because it answers a lot of questions. And we have this discussion with people all the time. Look at the world around. Oh, it's a terrible place. Well, it could be a lot worse. It's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. But had it not been for Noah, we wouldn't be here at all. We owe him a great deal of gratitude for building that boat. But when you understand creation, when you see how it's all put together and you see how it changed and why it changed, you get some insight into a lot of other things. So, until Monday,
everyone be blessed and enjoy another few days of summer. Hot summer.
It's almost August. Many, many blessings, everyone.